So it's an insane form of science denialism that I've spent 25 years fighting, and I'm not sure if I'm any closer to winning the battle.
It's the only form of science denialism that's culturally acceptable. It's culturally acceptable because it defines people in a way that makes them feel like animals, or makes them feel cheap, or makes them feel like they're prostitutes. You know, it makes people feel like they're prostitutes.
And interestingly, it comes a lot more for this particular form of science denialism from the left. This is why a lot of people will write me and say, "Well, why do you seem to be critiquing a lot more people on the left than the right?" That's not showing my political colors. It's simply because the ecosystem that I navigate in, which is called academia, it just so happens that most of the BS comes from the left because the academia is laden with leftists.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that I give a free pass to the right. When you have a right-wing senator who denies evolution, I'm the first to also critique him. But the reality is, when it comes to human nature, it's really the leftists who are denying the biological basis of our human nature.
Why do you think that this science denialism is so prevalent on the left when it comes to gender? Because gender seems to be the battleground. It seems to be the battleground even in terms of transgender.
Right.
But the battleground of gender, whether it's the gender pay gap or whether it's traditional gender roles, this seems to be where science denialism lives on the left. In the more, like what I always grew up thinking about the left was always more open-minded. They were supposed to be the more educated, and they were supposed to be the more compassionate people. So something happened, and I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the line, this science denialism and this, for whatever reason, this idea that if it shows any differences, if there's any statistics or any data that shows differences between the men and the women, that this is somehow an example of sexism or patriarchal tyranny, or there's a reason for this that's negative.
So I think the reason is actually quite simple. The right-wing folks who deny science, it's typically for religious ideological reasons.
Or for industry.
Right. So there is some pet ideology that is threatening me, and therefore I'm going to deny science.
Right.
This exact same thing is happening with the left. They also have been parasitized by a quasi-religion. It's called progressivism, okay? And I say progressivism in quotes, right? Equality of outcomes and all the rest of the garbage, right? And therefore, to the extent that evolutionary theory in general, but evolutionary psychology in particular, is a threat to my quasi-religion, then I will reject it. This is why evolution deniers tend to be on the right, and evolution psychology deniers tend to be on the left. They've both been parasitized by religions. They're just different religions. That's all.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. That progressivism is in fact some sort of religion. And it makes sense if you're looking at the science denialism aspect of it, because you're not looking at it in terms of an objective analysis of all the facts and the data that's in front of you. You're saying what fits this construct, what fits this pattern of behavior that I've chosen to adopt, and then I have to show all the people that are around me, like you accuse Sean Carroll of doing.
Exactly.
Adopting this instead of looking at the actual facts of this case.
Exactly. Postmodernism, I think, you had the grievance studies folks on this, right?
Fantastic.
I mean,
Peter Boghossian and yeah.